After the very risky success of Modern Warfare, the Call of Duty franchise went back to World War II. When work for World at War began, nobody knew if Modern Warfare was going to work out. So Treyarch brought the world back to war with the world. Oh my god, that is such an obvious line. So terrible. I gotta cut off my tongue or something. Oh.
Let's do this.
So, World at War was just another COD game that I didn't get at the time when it came out. I only got to playing it with my brother, a co-op, about 3 years ago. And I remember the co-op being the biggest marketing play for the game when it was coming out. And it's a pretty decent co-op, but it's nothing really special. After the success of bringing Call of Duty to modern times, and after Modern Warfare became the best-selling FPS of all time, Treyarch brought Call of Duty back to World War II. And at the time when it came out, I was wondering why Activision would do that after having so much success with the modern day. But the thing is that Activision was worried that Modern Warfare wasn't going to be successful, so we got stuck with another World War II shooter. But this one was a bit different.
What the hell is this?
Check it out.
Looks like a temple or some shit.
Hold your ground! Hold your ground!
It carried over some of the systems and designs of Modern Warfare. This action-packed follow the objective marker, your commanding officer type thing. The original COD's a bit of this, but I would say it's a lot more open than a lot of the later titles. To say that this game is very similar to Modern Warfare is actually a very apt assessment. I actually have to think very hard of some changes. There's a emphasis on flame tech on this one. Apparently they worked some on the engine to make it look better, but to me it doesn't look good. It actually looks worse than Modern Warfare. Gore is a bigger highlight and borderline kind of excessive. I understand what they're going for. That war sucks, but I mean, people in this game lose limbs. So I kind of talked about this earlier, but I really do think that this game continues the tradition of having really poor design decisions that are a staple of the Treyarch games. Those really annoying clown closets of infinitely respawning enemies took a time machine and they came back to World War II just to ruin your day. And they just make sections of this game just trudge through the mud. It's not all bad because some of these smaller sequences have these really heavily cinematic feel to them, kind of like how Modern Warfare was. My favorite being the sniper sequences. It's such a blatant ripoff of Enemy at the Gates that you could almost swear that you're going to turn around a corner and the catering cart is going to still be there. Some of the sequences also do feel like ripoffs of previous COD games, but I do have to say that the direction that these scenes take are kind of troubling. Take the gunboat sequence. You're moving around the ship, shooting down planes and boats, and that's cool and all, but all of your interactions are just basically a movie that's just being played. This is where the previous games that Treyarch actually made get it right, to me, at least. I don't know. I don't usually lend credence to this criticism because I believe it's used way too liberally, but the gunboat sequence is just really a glorified shooting gallery. The sequence was better done in Treyarch's Call of Duty 2, Big Red 1, where you actually got to move around the B-17. Replayability from this one comes from trying to find these death cards that are replacements for the intel in Modern Warfare, except that you don't need to get a certain amount of intel, just a certain card to unlock special modes. In Modern Warfare, they're very goofy, but here some are goofy and others they make the game a bit harder. It's a bit like the skulls from the Halo games. These different cards actually help with a bit of variety in playing the game and forces you to change up your playstyle. I like when games do that. The game also includes a small bit of branching plot at the very end. It may be a sign for what a future COD might end up, but it's kind of spoilery, so I won't mention it here, but it's kind of like how in Mass Effect you choose what lady in impossibly skin-tight clothing to bed, but it's even a bit more banal and just The Russian campaign is still the standout in this, which is kind of weird because in the previous COD games they were good because they were so different. But this is the third COD campaign in Russian and the first campaign in the Pacific Theater, but I really feel that Treyarch just shows how bad their game design is in the Pacific Theater campaign. A lot of these levels are just open areas, while the Russian campaign largely happens in very controlled circumstances. I have to commend this game for its correction of the myth that video games have had around the M1 Grand. I didn't know this until I played this game, but you could actually reload mid-clip, unlike what most World War II shooters would have you to believe. Many people might think that I'm giving this game a hard time, and I kinda am, but I think that it's a decent game. The only time I think I would actually play this again would be with another person. I don't think it should have all the praise and veneration that the fan base has of it. I think there are better World War II games in the series itself. But it's a decent experience out of the World War II CODs. I'd rank it about around here. Oh, wait. Before I leave, you might be saying, but he's not talking about zombies. When I first read a review of World at War, I kind of had the same passion that the millions of people have about Infinite Warfare, but this zombie experience for me is my favorite, even vanilla zombies. I like horde modes because they're fun and simple and cool to play with friends, and this one is decent enough. I don't like how later zombie titles are so complicated, but that's a different story. But yeah, World at War, a decent game. It's just a bit too safe for me. A lot of these COD games are really cheap right now, so I really don't see any harm in picking these for a couple of bucks and playing couch co-op with a friend. World at War sold pretty well for a Treyarch game. It sold 15.7 million copies. Actually very well. Wow. And its first map pack sold a record-breaking 1 million units in its first weekend. But the thing is, with success comes complications. Complications that echo something that happened to an Infinity Ward in the past. On Twitter, I asked you guys what you thought about World at War, and this is the response I got. Thanks! And so I'll be having the same for MW2, Modern Warfare 2. So follow me on Twitter so that you might be able to get into a future video. Bye and have a great day.